What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, fan of ShowMeFootball.com, and today I am joined by Prime Connor, the most hated fan in Chiefs Kingdom, as always. And this time, Braden Dowers, who also does the Dead Birds discussion with me. But we've gotten together today because we all finally went to the Bills game together, and we wanted to talk about our experience there. It's going to be, I've already done a lot of my bitching about the game. But this is going to be more of us telling our experience at the game. It was very much a roller coaster. Also, Tino, who is a part of our friend group, joined us, but he was a fraud and bailed out on the podcast today. So anyways, Connor.
He's probably in his girlfriend's musty ass room.
He was telling me about how he was getting her on some new music.
Oh, God.
I don't think this is really important in the context of the podcast. I don't think anyone gives a shit. But for context, our friend's girlfriend has a musty ass room there. On with the show.
Well, you know what, Connor? I'll let you. I'll hand it off to you from here. Why don't you kind of set people up, give them an image in their head, what took place this weekend?
Where do you want me to start?
Anywhere you want.
All right, so y'all probably know Josh is in St. Louis, Braden, Tino, and I are in KC. So like the four of us have like been friends for a while. I've met Josh in person, but they didn't. So like we were back in May. I can't remember who got the dumbass idea, but whoever it was, I ended up spending about like $1,200 on tickets to this goddamn game, and it was supposed to be awesome. You know, Josh was going to come up, everyone would get to meet him. Like we've spent nights like talking on like Discord and stuff like that, like literally hours. They know each other. They all know each other really well, but this would be like the first thing we ever like got together to do with Josh, you know? So it was supposed to be like this big thing. And we ended up going to the Mizzou North Texas game the day before.
That wasn't part of the original plan either. That kind of came along after.
Yeah. And I'm glad it did, because we actually
at least we got some good football over the weekend.
Yeah.
Is that even good football?
I don't know. 35 points to North Texas.
Yeah, but I mean, us going there was fun.
Yeah.
And then we came back to KC, and Josh stayed with me.
Are you gonna leave out our Denny's trip?
Yeah,
should I go like more into detail on Saturday?
Okay, so for those of you, I will talk about Denny's real quick, and then I will hand it off.
You don't know the full context of Denny's,
but I do. Anyway, if you guys are familiar with the Denny's, literally right next to Arrowhead and Kaufman, that's filled with crackheads all the time. Well, I had never been there before, but so the Mizzou game ended like at what, 5 or 6, something like that.
6:30.
Yeah, so we didn't get back to KC till like 9 or 10 o'clock, somewhere around there. And there's not a lot of places open, and you know, they figured part of the KC experience would to go to the cracked out Denny's next to the stadium, and I guess it was notorious for getting orders wrong and just being filled with sketchy ass people. But
there was a bunch of gangbangers one time we went.
Yeah, but sure enough, the lady, she remembered all of our orders, got them all right.
And off the top of her head, she didn't even need to write it down. She was definitely on something.
But yeah, I mean, it was actually a pretty nice dinner over at Denny's.
Yeah.
Josh, the image that you should put for this podcast should be the one from my Instagram of the four of us at the Denny's table.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope you do that.
All
but
right.
Like I remember, obviously you guys too, but people listening to this won't. After she's taken like all our orders, she's like saying it back to us and like talking about what a great memory she has. Mm-hmm. And then Josh, what did you say after she left?
Or you could just write it down.
Yeah, I said, or you
Yeah.
could just write it down. I was like, I'm not sure I want to gamble and make sure that you remember everything. I mean, that's cool and funny and everything, but like, can you actually like get it right?
Yeah, we all thought our orders were gonna be so wrong, but she got it perfect. So I tipped like $12.
It was the first time that we had gone to Denny's, because this was like what, the third or fourth time, at least me, Connor, and Tino had gone to Denny's, and every time before they got it wrong.
Yeah, one time I ordered a side of bacon and I got like a full-on bacon omelet.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a good Denny's.
Nah, but I mean, shoot, you gotta give them credit where credit is due, because I ordered a complicated pancake meal and she got the whole thing right.
Yeah, it was a good experience. And then Josh stayed at my house, which was an experience. We want to talk about how I woke you up.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so I woke up at like 7:20. I don't know why. I set my alarm for like 7:30, but I woke up like 7:22-ish. And so I spent probably like 45 minutes to an hour like getting my car set up, because I was the one driving to Arrowhead. We were planning on like tailgating and stuff when we got there, right? So I drive a Ford Escape. That's why we took it, because it's like a big car. So I was like cleaning out my car, making sure it was good to go. And Josh is still asleep. And so it gets to probably what, like,
I would say 8:30.
yeah, I was gonna say 8:30, but that felt a little late. Uh, and I'm like, all right, time to go wake this motherfucker up. So I made some comment to him earlier, like a couple days earlier, because we were on Discord just talking, and I wanted to listen to Brass Monkey and by Beastie Boys, and he said no. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go wake this dude up with Brass Monkey. So I opened Spotify, put my phone on full blast, go into his room, set it right next to his head, and just start blaring Brass Monkey by the Beastie Boys at full volume. And I close the door. I can hear Brass Monkey throughout my entire house, and I just hear, Jesus Christ. And this dude rolls over and goes back to sleep with Brass Monkey still playing.
Yeah, I didn't want to mess with your phone or anything like that, and it just started playing. So eventually, I just rolled
How
over.
did you fall back asleep?
I just rolled over, and that's what I did. I just went back to sleep.
What eventually got you up?
Just me knowing that we were probably going to leave soon, and then Braden, who is a fraud, was supposed to.
Oh,
he. Okay, so Connor got up early, thinking like we are gonna like go around and get this whole KC experience in, and Braden was gonna join us before we all went to Tino's to watch the noon games. And Braden's like, pick me up at 10:30. So Connor and I are like, well, screw it. I guess we'll find something to do around here. So we went to QT to get breakfast. Then we went to the Rally House, and where I bought a Mickey Mouse Kansas City Chiefs t-shirt, because the Chiefs are Mickey Mouse frauds.
Yep.
And I'm known for my very good Mickey Mouse impression. So yeah,
Do it.
Up.
You can't just say you're known for it and not do it.
I can't do it right now.
Ah, fraud. You forgot to mention that we played Pac-Man at Best Buy.
Yes. Well, we went to Best Buy after the Rally House, but they had one of those arcade 1-up machines, and we literally just played Pac-Man in there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then we picked Braden up and went to Spirit Halloween.
No, we went to Arby's first.
Well, Arby's isn't going to make much sense for the viewer. So
okay. Well, to give some context, I worked at an Arby's for an entire year, and for the most part, it was fun, but then they fucked me over. So I quit, and this was the first time that I would have gone back since then, but it ended up being very underwhelming, because the two people that were working there, they weren't opening until 11 a.m. And the two people that were working there, I had never met in my life. So Arby's was very boring. Once when Connor and Josh picked me up, I got a TV in my Roku, so we could watch the 3 o'clock games before the Chiefs games when we were tailgating. But my dumbass forgot to get the remote, so we weren't able to do anything besides sit in the parking lot of Arrowhead.
Yeah, that's gonna come into play later.
Well,
Yeah.
But
let me say this, okay? I think I'm pretty good at telling this story. So last Thanksgiving, Connor and
we're doing this?
yes,
We're doing this?
yes.
Oh
So
my god.
after we went to the Arby's,
It's not important to the story.
yes, it is. We drove by this GameStop. Was the GameStop? Where was it? Independence.
GameStop is very important. Yeah.
Was it the
It's,
GameStop in Lee Summit?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
Edgeley.
the Lee Summit GameStop. Okay, we went there because it's this historic site for this reason. Last Thanksgiving, these two idiots sat.
No, it was just me.
It wasn't me. It was Connor and Tino.
Oh, that's right. It was.
I didn't go because I was quarantined.
Anyway, two of these idiots went to the GameStop to sit outside on Thanksgiving and be there for the Black Friday PS5 and Xbox sales. And I remember I was on Discord with them while they were sitting on the sidewalk waiting for GameStop to open. And I remember I was like, all right, I'm heading to bed. And Connor goes, no, you got to stay on Discord with us throughout the night. And I'm like, I'm good. And I just went to sleep. And the next day, I checked my Snapchat and I see a morning post on his story from Connor's in big red letters saying, do not shop at GameStop, because they finally opened and they told everyone that they were only selling bundles for a minimum of $1,000. And Connor is broke and didn't want to buy a $1,000 bundle. He wanted to just get the console. And so he said, screw you to the GameStop worker, along with a bunch of other people, and just went on this huge rant about how they were selling bundles and screwed him over. And he wasted his entire damn Thanksgiving waiting outside GameStop just for nothing.
So we went by that historic site, and Connor wanted to go into the GameStop, which kind of is against everything that he says, because then
there's a difference between entering a store and shopping there. I didn't have any intention on buying anything, but it would have added context, which was the entire point of the trip, to give context to some of the stories that we've told Josh.
Then we went to the Spirit Halloween for a good minute.
Like had no context whatsoever. We just did it.
Yeah. And then we made our way over to Tino's house where we watched the noon games. And Connor, I will hand it back off to you, or Braden, since he hasn't done a lot of talking thus far. But
pass it to Braden.
There really wasn't too much going on with the noon games. We just got to Tino's. We went down into his man cave where he has 2 massive TVs, and we all just kind of sat there. Had Red Zone on, and I believe the Buccaneers Dolphins game. That was what CBS.
Yeah, that sucked.
Dolphins were in it for a bit, but not too long. We really just watched the games, and I think we were all kind of just antsy to get going. Because
except Tino, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, he didn't really give a shit. But we were all kind of antsy to get going and get in the gates at Arrowhead and make sure that we got everything set up. So we ended up leaving at about 2:30.
Yeah, I think it was 2:30.
We left at about 2:30, and Connor was very timidly driving to the stadium. And I just was constantly giving updates on the scores of the game. We basically missed what is now known as one of the weirdest, craziest games in NFL history, of the Packers and Bengals missing 5 straight field goals. So we missed that because we were driving, but I'd say the drive to Arrowhead really wasn't that bad. And since we got there so early, we didn't get stuck in traffic like we did before the Minnesota Vikings.
We didn't get stuck in traffic on the way out either.
Yeah, we didn't get stuck. Well, that's because we left early, but that's
that'll come into play later.
But But we got to the stadium, parked the car right next to the bridge. If any, like, I'm assuming people that are watching this have gone to a game at Arrowhead, but right next to that bridge that goes into the tunnel that gets you to the main parking lot right in front of the stadium. We parked right next to that. And then we walked over to Taco Bell because that was going to be our tailgating food, because that
Party
is
pack.
I bought the party pack for everybody. Tina went to go take a shit at the hotel that was across from that Taco Bell. Josh went to go get ibuprofen because he was getting a headache, and Connor was about to fucking die because he had
Allergies.
a cold. Yeah, he had.
Yeah, it was a mixture, or I had like really bad allergies all day. I could not stop sneezing, and it was such a pain in the ass. And then because it was raining later, I got a cold. So I was just miserable the entire day. So keep that in the back of your mind when you hear the rest of this story.
Yeah.
Well,
But we got we after we got Taco Bell. I think something else that's funny is I almost got hit by a car and Tina almost pushed me because I hesitated.
Well, Tino pulled a Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he was running across the street with the football we brought to the tailgate. And
why did he bring it?
I don't know.
And then he like bumped into either you or Connor and dropped the football on the street and was literally about to be met by the hood of a car.
Yeah. But we made it across the street safely. Making it back across the street after we had the party pack, that was more successful than going across the first time.
Which I held the party pack because I have good security.
Dude, I almost busted my ass on coming down the hill when we were walking back to the parking lot. I thought for sure.
Oh, that hill was so steep.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous.
But we make our
on our way back, we were shit talking Bills fans,
which was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, we make it.
Well, here,
ahead, Josh. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
So no, go Josh. Go Josh.
We make it back to the parking lot, right? Where Connor is parked. We open his trunk, get our chairs out. We brought a canopy, decided not to set it up, especially because the weather wasn't all that bright anyway. And we eat our taco party pack. And really at that point, we're just like, I think all of us were kind of, well, me and Connor, more specifically, were getting really nervous as it was getting closer to game time for obvious reasons, being passionate Chiefs fans. And then we eventually decided it's time to make our way to the stadium. And
we left at about 5, got there at around 5:20.
Yeah, waiting outside the gates until they finally started letting people in. And then
got our emergency ponchos out.
Yeah, I brought 4 emergency ponchos because we knew it was going to get wet. And of course, it starts raining before we even get in the game.
Yeah, but they finally let us into the stadium. And the first place we all go is, of course, the Hall of Honor and, all the Chiefs memorabilia stuff that's there. And I know this is one of Connor's favorite parts, so I'll let him.
Probably his favorite part at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it was the only good Chiefs football we got to see the entire night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Hall of Honor, the new one is, well, I mean, I guess it's a hall, and along one side is the busts of all the players in the Hall of Honor. And on the other side, they have a couple like notable pieces of Chiefs memorabilia, like a Derek Johnson jersey, a Jamal Charles jersey, just a couple different legends set up. And then they have like these kiosks, these little display boards, like in between some of the displays. And one of them is a database of every player in the Hall of Honor. One of them's a database of every Chiefs player ever. One of them's a database of every game the Chiefs have ever played. And I think there was one more, but I could have just sat there the entire day, like messing with those boards. It was like super cool. And it just felt really like modernized. and it was just a really beautiful place in the stadium, and you can tell it's brand new, state of the art. There's display boards behind the jerseys, like showing Derek Johnson making tackles in the jersey that's on display and stuff like that. But the piece de resistance, so to speak, is the Super Bowl area. When you first walk into the Hall of Honor, on the left side, there is a picture of Hank Stram, and the carpet is a 65 toss power trap. And on the other side, it's Andy Reid holding the Lombardi, and the carpet is Jet Chip Wasp. And then in the middle, between the Lamar Hunt trophies on display, is this case that says World Champs at the back. And it has the 2 Super Bowls, the 2 Super Bowl rings. And then on one side, Johnny Robinson's jersey and helmet from Super Bowl 4. And on the other side, Patrick Mahomes' jersey and helmet from Super Bowl 54. And it is just beautiful. And the Hall of Honor is honestly worth the price of admission to a normal game, not a Sunday night game. But if you're just buying tickets to a normal game, it's definitely worth the price of admission.
Yeah. One of my favorite pieces of memorabilia that was in there was they had, I don't know if you noticed it, it was like a spoonful of dirt from Travis Kelce's touchdown in the last game in the Raiders' old stadium. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, they had that at the old one too.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. And I believe when we went last year to the Jets game, they had it misspelled.
Yeah, they had the Travis Kelce jersey, and it said Travel Kelce instead of Travis. But we go back to the Hall of Honor later in the story. So,
but yeah, after that, we pretty much make our way to the seats that were in the upper deck, kind of below the press box and all that good stuff. And, you know, I know we're going to try to keep as much off the game as possible and more so about the experience. But I will say that when we got to our seats and the stand started filling up and we got closer to game time, it really did feel like a playoff atmosphere, like a really important big game that was a turning point in the Chiefs season. Like if they would lose this game real bad, like, there's problems and this team may not be what we all thought they were. And if they had won this game, it would just be them once again proving that they're the team to beat in the AFC. Now, we all know what the outcome is, but I'm not going to focus on that. But I will say the atmosphere was
electric.
Electric, as Braden said it was supposed to be, but for about 20 minutes.
I thought that it was going to be a great atmosphere if it was going to be a monsoon pouring down rain. I thought that it was going to be fun. I thought that it was going to be electric. But it turns out that the NFL and the Chiefs are fucking pussies. And when the atmosphere could have been electric, they decided to cancel the game for what?
An hour and 15 minutes?
Hour, 15 minutes.
Yeah, God, we can go on and on about that, but I just
that
like to touch on
hour I will take to my grave.
Yeah, you two have a completely separate story in that hour than I do, but
like we all just kind of split up.
Yeah, but I will say for the pregame atmosphere, it was honestly just outstanding with the player intros, the music, just the everything, the national anthem. It was all done so spectacularly. And like, you couldn't help but tear up if you were a diehard Chiefs fan. And like, I thought the Bills were going to blow us out, but just seeing how the team came out of the locker room and just like the feel of the game, just the entire atmosphere, or as Marshawn Lynch would put it, the ambiance. I remember saying to Braden, there is no way they lose this fucking game. Well, they lost that fucking game.
No, that intro definitely got me extremely hyped up for the game. But in the back of my head, I was still just like, Bills are going to destroy this defense.
Well, I thought that after the first offensive drive for the Bills, because after I saw how quickly they drove down the field and scored again on their first offensive drive, like it took 2 minutes. They had a couple of big chunk plays and they had scored their first touchdown before we had scored a touchdown. And from there on, I knew it was going to be a long night.
Yeah. Kind of straying away from the game because I know both of you have done most of your shit posting on the game. But I doubt that you guys have mentioned the drunk guy that was sitting.
Oh, we're
next
gonna get to
Nope.
that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Is there anything else in between talking to him that there really is to talk about?
Well,
Isn't most of his stuff in the third quarter though?
Yeah.
I mean, it started like about midway through the first quarter. He started chirping at me.
Well, I had never heard that part. I only remember my interaction with him and from there on, but Connor was telling me last night about how you had an interaction with him in like the first part of the game. So,
oh yeah, I was talking to him for probably the first or at least the second quarter for sure. He was just giving me life advice. He was telling Connor, like, you got to watch out for this man. He seems like he's super happy, but he's in a dark spot, man. He was so wasted. It was hilarious.
And it's because you were talking shit on the defense that was playing terrible.
Yeah, and the reason he was saying all that is because I was getting pissed off at the Chiefs defense, and I was like just having that overhead view of the offense as well. I was seeing places where Mahomes could have thrown the ball, and it was just infuriating to see him not hit open receivers, especially on that first throw to Kelsey, where he was wide open and Mahomes had an absolutely clean pocket. But yeah, the drunk guy next to me kept getting mad at that. And then he started, this was more later on, but he started talking about how me and Josh specifically were computer nerds and how we had never put on pads and played football. I haven't played football. I know Josh has, but he started calling us computer nerds, saying that only our algorithms and analytics, that's the only thing that we look at, which was funny.
I remember, I mean, we'll get to what he did in the third quarter later, but rain delay, right? So game was shitty. It was pouring down rain. Rain starts to kind of let up. And then I guess my theory is that the Chiefs tried to rage quit the game because at halftime, big ass please take shelter thing comes on Arrowvision, and they're telling everyone to like go to the concourse or just go somewhere. And I remember saying, like, I'd rather get struck by lightning than watch this defense. We aren't going anywhere. So we sit there for a while.
And then the security forced us to move.
Yeah, we go up to like just under the press boxes. And then I think it was Tino that said, "This is stupid. Let's go to the Hall of Honor," or something. So we go down there, and this is where our story kind of splits off. Do you guys want to go first with your side of the story?
Our side of the story is pretty quick. All I remember is everybody was sitting down in the Hall of Honor, and they didn't even have the displays and the databases. Like, you couldn't play around with them anymore, and everybody was just kind of sitting there. So I let Connor tell his part, but
Basically, Braden walked around the stadium looking for mac and cheese.
Yeah, basically that's all I did. I remember when we walked into the stadium, I just saw this thing or this little shop that was called gourmet mac and cheese in the stadium that I don't think was there before. I'm like, might go try that later. I don't know. But I didn't want to get it when we had first entered the stadium because I wasn't hungry because we had just ate Taco Bell. But now since it was a rain delay, I didn't have anything else to do. And so I was like, fuck it. I'll go get some mac and cheese because the Chiefs defense is absolutely pathetic and I can cope with some nice mac and cheese because I love mac and cheese. So I start walking, and apparently Josh had followed me. I didn't know this. And then I just see him. I'm like, oh, you're here. And I go up to the mac and cheese store, or the gourmet mac and cheese. That was what the name of it was. and they're out of mac and cheese.
Yep.
So
then he went walking around the stadium seeing if there was another one, and by the time
we probably walked around the entire stadium.
Yeah, by the time we had made our round,
I remember seeing that there was 2, but I don't know where the first one was, and it was so packed. There were so many people there that we just were in a single file line, weaving in and out through people, just trying to find some mac and cheese, and we couldn't find it. But eventually, me and Josh made our way back up to the seats. And then we found Tino and Connor again, met back up at the seats, and watched the second half. But I'll let Connor tell his side of the story now.
All right, so my side is the 4 of us were kind of standing in the Hall of Honor, and I said, I'm going to go look at the Lombardi for a while. So I walk over to the Super Bowl trophy, and I'm looking at it because, like I said, it is just gorgeous. And, I've talked to a couple people, like take a couple pictures for people. And then there's like an argument about Daniel Sorensen. And I'm like, okay, this is stupid. I turn around. My friends are gone. So I text in our group chat. I'm like, hey, where are y'all at? And Braden says that we're exactly where we were. So I'm like, okay. I go back and I'm like, shit, because y'all ain't there. Y'all left to go get mac and cheese or something. So I'm like, shoot, okay. So then I guess Tino comes back from the bathroom or something and just says, oh, there you are. And we start to walk somewhere. And I just say, you know what, let's just go sit down in the Hall of Honor because that's what everyone else is doing. So we go to the Hall of Honor, more towards like where Derek Thomas's bust is. And both of us just kind of lay down and we're both just staring at the ceiling. And I'm like, dude, if you told me that at halftime I'd be laying down staring at the ceiling of the Hall of Honor, I'd think you were insane. So Marlon, I know you're listening to this. I get on Marlon's Twitter space in the middle of the Chiefs Hall of Honor and start complaining about the defense. And yeah, we just kind of laid in the middle of the Hall of Honor until this one lady comes in and says, the Bills are back on the field, game on. And people start leaving, and me and Tino are like the last ones to leave. And he's like, we going back to the seats? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So then we return to the seats, and I don't know, I feel like the next moment that really stands out to me is when the drunk guy in the Pringle jersey busts his ass.
So wait, he was wearing a Pringle jersey?
Yes, he was wearing a Pringle jersey.
I didn't even notice that.
Connor, after Pringle fumbled it, he told him, I think you should flip that jersey inside out.
He didn't appreciate that.
That was hilarious.
First of all, I don't know why.
Tell the story.
I don't know why anyone would own a Byron Pringle jersey, but anyway, man, no, seriously though, that's like having a freaking Philip Dorsett jersey, like that. Anyway, so this drunk guy, I mean, it's the second half. I'm already pissed off with the way the Chiefs have been doing, and I'm just screaming something along the lines of, man, this defense sucks so bad. They put so much pressure on the offense to be perfect. And now the offense sucks, so we have no chance. Here we are. And then he just looks at me and he goes, hey, you know what, man? How about you sit down and put a foot in your mouth? Because you have no idea what you're talking about. Our offense doesn't suck. And I go, today it does. And he goes, no, it doesn't. And then he just keeps going on. And I'm just like, okay, man, whatever you say. I knew he was drunk by the way he was talking to me. So I just let him say what he wanted to say. And then he's like talking to Braden about some crap, probably complaining about me. And then
no, he was just talking to me, like just saying shit. It was so weird but funny.
Yeah. And then a few minutes later, we run like a second and long run with Clyde that goes nowhere. And I say something like, this is the Andy Reid experience. And then he's like, Andy Reid experience? What the hell are you talking about? And I just stopped responding to the guy after that. But then we get the interception from Rashad Fenton that ended up being negated by the BS Frank Clark roughing the passer. When they called that, it basically sucked any momentum the Chiefs had left out.
And it looked like if that interception had stood, the Chiefs, I think, could have gotten.
Yeah, like there was a glimmer of hope. Like at that point, it was 31-13. They had just scored, I think, the possession before. So there was a glimmer of hope. They get the interception, and you knew that if they had gotten that interception, they likely would have scored the next drive, just with the way the game
And
was.
then they would have only been down by like what, 3?
Yeah. So anyway, after we get this interception, this guy who's drunk, like he like high-fived Braden, I think, and then he was like coming over to me and he had his hand out. I wasn't sure if he was coming to punch me or if he was coming to like give me a high five, but either way, he didn't make it because he fell on his face and I took his beer from him so I could help him up. Somehow he did not spill any of his beer and still had it in his hand. It was amazing, actually. And I take his beer from him so he can get up, and then he gets up and I hand him his beer back, but Jesus Christ, that dude was so drunk it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, I just see some guy like flop. There's just like this hand that like,
I'm surprised
suddenly
Connor
appears
didn't
next to
stomp on his back where it said Pringle.
Yeah, I was just surprised because I just see like this hand go across Tino and like come out by me. And my initial thought is, did Braden knock him out?
Oh gosh.
I would say not soon after that we dipped because the Bills started driving.
Oh yeah.
You knew that the game was.
Yeah, Mahomes had turned the ball over again. I think that it was 38-13. It was like, okay, this is over. And
I know we left with 8 minutes left in the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing is, me and Connor went to the Mizzou Tennessee game before, which was probably one of the worst sporting events I've ever been to. It was a complete blowout from start to finish, and we had talked about how neither of us had ever left a game before because it was so bad. And sure enough, the very next weekend we leave another game because of how bad it was. And the game has to be really bad for me to leave, but like we had no shot and we just decided to leave early.
Boys, back in here.
So are we gonna talk or just sit here?
Greg!
We're gonna finish the show.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So Connor,
I hope you cut this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We
Dude,
left
if
off.
you don't cut this, the entire like artistic integrity of this is gonna be lost.
Do you think we have any kind of integrity? Shut the hell up. So
let's be real. Who's
we
still
left off,
listening to it at this point?
Yeah, we left off with Connor saying yeah after I shared my tidbit of the drunk guy. So we'll go from there.
You
Connor?
were supposed to cut that, Joshua.
Just talk.
Okay. So, I believe since Josh wasn't very specific with where we left off, the last thing Josh said was that we had left the Tennessee game a week earlier, and then we left the Bills game 8 minutes early. Yeah, I'm not a fan of leaving games early when you pay full price for it. It's something I complain at every sporting event I attend, but I feel like these are both exceptions. What did we miss? I think we missed another Bills touchdown, and that was it.
Yeah, because the Chiefs were already at 20 by that time, and it was 31-20 when we left, and by the end of the game, it was 38-20.
I feel like it's important to mention that
we saw them get into the red zone before they scored.
Yeah. I think it's important to mention that whenever Rashad Fenton got the interception and we thought there was a chance, Braden, Tino, and I were all up and screaming, and Tino even leaned over to me and said, you know that one meme where it's like sad Mickey Mouse like just sitting or standing in the rain? That's what Connor was doing for the entire rest of the game before we left.
Yeah.
Like literally had not moved or said a word with the most depressed look on his face.
I think it happened after the second Mahomes pick. I just stopped giving.
Like
I don't think I moved for like the entire third quarter. I knew.
Yeah,
I never had any hope.
Stood still. Did you think anything?
I took on the same role. I took on the same role after the roughing the passer.
The pick did not faze me at all. because I've seen this team do the same shit. I knew that the game was over, and you can just tell by the body language of a team whether or not they can come back, and they weren't playing like a team that still had heart in it. And it carried on into the locker room with finger pointing or just sweeping it under the rug is all that has happened since the game. So it makes me believe that this isn't going to be the last instance like that.
Pressing outlook.
It's true. Like, this team feels dead in the water. I don't know how
I
you
agree.
are optimistic. And I feel like we especially saw, because we were in person, I know we weren't going to go too in-depth on the actual game itself, but I feel like we saw it since we were in person, was everybody on the defense looks lost. Like, I remember Nick Bolton was, like, standing on the edge, and everyone was just kind of, like, looking back and forth at each other, like, am I in the right spot? And nobody knows where they're supposed to line up. Like,
Bags.
When the Bills were on defense, you could tell, like, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde would move around, but everyone really knew where they were supposed to line up. The Chiefs had no idea where they were supposed to line up, and I don't know how you're supposed to play good defense when you are lost every play.
Yeah. Well, and one of the most demoralizing feelings was when we were getting loud on third down or key downs, and like you felt like you had an effect on the game being loud, because there were a few times when the crowd was really loud and we were all into it, where like Josh Allen had to step back from being under center for a second and like reassess things because of how loud the crowd was. And then they rip off like a 20-yard gain, and it's like, well, that's just great.
Yeah, like it's really nice when you feel like you are having an impact on the game, but then you just see stuff like that. I remember it was like a 3rd and 17, and if the Chiefs got a stop, it was another one of those instances where it's just like you could sway the momentum and maybe they could come back here. It was in the 3rd quarter, and then Allen just decides to hit like a 60-yard deep bomb to like either Emmanuel Sanders or Dawson Knox, and all the energy in the stadium was just gone again.
The entire game, because we had paid so much for the tickets, just felt like a personal fuck you from the Chiefs to us. Like, I felt insulted after that.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst game experiences ever. Everything leading up to it was perfect, and like the memory would have been so much better had the game actually been good.
Yeah. Like it was a good weekend
everything
leading up to
outside
it.
Of the everything outside of the game was fine, I'd say. Like I don't think that there was a bad experience when we weren't at Arrowhead.
Yeah, I suppose we could like mention a little bit of like what happened Saturday. We all met up at Shakespeare. Yeah, we all met up at Shakespeare's Pizza, and then went to the game. And on the way back, Braden and Josh rode together, and I assume talked a lot. And the entire day was just super fun. And you know, obviously Mizzou won that, but even though they didn't play great, you could still leave satisfied with just knowing that the Chiefs kind of like I felt personally insulted. I really did. Because, you know, it was something I know, like, obviously that's irrational, but it's something that we had been like hyping up since May, and for them just to go out there and put on that performance, it just felt insulting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not doing that again. Fuck the Chiefs.
Anyone want to talk about leaving the stadium in the car ride home?
I don't know if there's too much there. We were just all
the
sad.
only thing notable from the car ride home was
just all talking shit.
We were all just talking shit. Let's say the only thing that anything new that I'd have to add is Connor's windshield wipers are so fucking annoying.
I hate them. That's why, like,
God, they're so loud.
Dude, that's why, like, I would sit there and I would like manually hit it, and then just like pray that the rain had stopped, so I wouldn't have to keep going, because the automatic ones are not only obnoxious, but they're a pain in the ass to get off. So I was just pissed. But Josh then, I told him that he could spend the night here, but he drove another 4 hours to get back to St. Louis, and that must have been miserable.
Yeah, I had school and work in the morning, so I was like, either way, I'm gonna have to be up really early, so I might as well stay up now, get home, and sleep when I get home. I left at somewhere around 1 a.m., maybe 1:30. It was pretty damn late. Went to the QT, filled up on my gas, grabbed a cappuccino, hit the road, and started listening to some Chiefs post-game shows and podcasts and stuff. Got home at around 5 a.m. or 5:30. Went to sleep, got up the next day, worked a double, and yeah.
How many hours of sleep did you get?
Like 4.
That's not bad.
Better than 3, which was the scenario I was looking at, but I booked it home, man.
How fast did you get home?
I mean,
because that's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, that's probably about how long it took. 4 hours. And it was really rainy on the way back, too.
Jeez, that must have been miserable.
It was. That was the game.
The drive to Columbia really didn't feel that long, but I know it was only half that, and, we did it with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, the drive to Columbia was fine.
Drive back, I felt was faster, but I wasn't with you guys.
It did feel faster to us, too, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we were in a good mood, because we had just seen our football team actually win.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So
I don't really have
our
anything much else to add.
A fun weekend ruined by Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo.
Yep.
We really could.
Title.
Yeah, that's pretty much the weekend in a nutshell.
Yep. What a disappointment. I want my money back.
Anyway, we didn't even mention how I finally got the money to pay you back.
Dude, that's not gonna make any sense to anybody.
Well,
we keep on bringing up these inside jokes that aren't gonna make any sense to anybody outside of our friend group.
It would if we explained them.
Let's just quickly recap how we all paid Connor back for the tickets. Tino just Apple paid him. I paid Connor through taking him to Royals games, and Josh paid him, didn't pay him for the longest time, and then finally decided to pay him after the Mizzou game for the
Yeah, this motherfucker Josh didn't pay me till the day before when he went to an ATM.
You still got your money.
Yeah, but you took your sweet ass time.
Well, I think that pretty much does it. That was our experience from this weekend. A good weekend ruined by Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. Brett Veach too, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So for all of you listening, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next one. All right, now get Craig the fuck out of here.
Isn't it the same thing? Just leave instead of join?
Well, isn't Brayden the one who got him to join?
No, it was you.
Well, let me do it then.
I hope you edit some